Well, I guess it's time to upgrade Chris Mears' computer. Well, I guess it's time to upgrade Mears' TV computer. Cool.
We now have MajinZendo TV T-shirts available on rayjohn.com. Please check the description below for more details.
This one's for the crew.
Alright, so we have Chris's computer here, and I got the new parts off of letgo over here, and I'm going to go in, take everything out that doesn't need to be in it, and we're going to put the new parts in his case. So, let's get started. So here's the Western Digital Blue SSD that Chris bought that we're going to get to work and put his operating system and everything else on when we're done. I remember some of these parts now. I really do. Alright, so here's the inside of the computer. Cooler Master. God, I can't remember the model number of these things anymore. It's been so long. It's just like the standard. I think it's something 12. God, I can't remember. We do already have a decent graphics card in here. I know that's an AMD card. We'll have to figure out exactly which one in a minute. HD 6870. Okay. We might end up switching that out. That's an older card. It's older than I thought it was. Let's see. Yeah. So we're gonna take everything out of here and then put all of this stuff in. So we'll start by taking. Wow. Start by taking the graphics card out. Because that makes sense for me to be able to move around and do a little bit more. Starting off, now that I'm paying a little bit more attention, now that I'm paying a little bit more attention to the case, though, I'm really questioning whether this Cooler Master V8 cooler is going to fit in this case. I'm really hoping so. It's going to be very close. The problem that I have is I've wanted one of these for a while just to play with, but it only comes with the LGA 1366 adapter. I don't have any more LGA 1366 motherboards, so I'm kind of stuck with using it for what it came off of. So it'll work. It'll help him out. I'm not going to cry about it. Could be worse. So yeah. So okay, this is the 6870. 1 gig of DDR5. See, originally I got this motherboard, which looking back I probably shouldn't have done it this way, but I was trying to upgrade him and help him out. This motherboard I got really cheap offline because all the SATA connectors were broke on it. And I should have just ordered more. I've gotten more stuff since then, and I might order actual SATA connectors and try to solder them onto this board now that I know a little bit more than I do, or than I did. So I had a PCIe ×1 SATA connector thing, but I don't think this was as stable as I wanted it to be, and it was kind of sketchy. So we're going to hold on to it to see if it can be useful later, just to add more if we need to. But for now, we're going to go ahead and relinquish that way and keep going. I've already done a decent amount of cable management in here, so hopefully it's not gonna be that hard to get this board out, but we'll see. All the front side stuff, unplug, Got a C-Sonic power supply. It's been so long since I did the video of me working on this computer that I don't remember everything that was on it, to be honest with you. Alright, so I'm thinking that it might be easier on myself to take this back fan out. So we're gonna do that. And just, the more room I got to work with right now, probably the better, especially me putting that big cooler on there. I guess it's just getting it all out of here now. So that's what we'll do. I'm just taking all the motherboard screws off. These all go into the standoffs that are on the board. I'm going to have to make sure that the standoffs fit the same hole pattern on the new board. If not, we can adjust them, obviously. That would be all the bottom ones, and there should be, yeah, 2 at the top. Should be 1. Right up in here. Okay, so reach in there. I pushed it between the thing. That's fine. I can get it out in a minute. I got one more right on the other side of that RAM socket, which seems like it's at a really awkward area. So what I might do is get another screwdriver. Let me see what I can do. Gonna make it make sense. Maybe I can get this. I know I have another screwdriver that I use sometimes. Here, this one's thinner. That's it. Sweet. Always having to figure it out, but it's worth it. Take your time. This isn't something that you always want to rush, I promise you. Especially, screws get stuck in little crevices, and then you gotta use your fingernails to get them out. Alright, so this should now just lift right up and out. There's nothing holds on to it. That's the old one, but we're doing away with this. We'll fix this board in another video, and yes, we will fix it because there's other things I wouldn't mind doing with this little ASRock board. So we will go and see you another time. So we'll retire him. We'll retire him over there. I'm dropping like everything right now. Alright, we're going to go ahead and apply the thermal paste to the CPU so that we can put this cooler on it. So it doesn't take as much as you'd probably think. We're just going to put about that much in the middle. And then when we put the CPU cooler on there, when we tighten it down, it should spread over the whole thing. We want to make sure that everything lines up like it's supposed to. And what we're going to do is flip it upside down so that way we can tighten everything down from the back. I take the plate, put it back on there. Now I had to take this off in the video where I was trying to figure out what the CPU was, but I knew that the paste would probably need to be reapplied anyway, so it helps out. We're going to put these little nuts back on. Make sure that it tries to stay as even as possible. Put a little bit of pressure to make sure that it goes all the way down like it's supposed to. Let's see how that went. It's not a lot of play in it, so that should be good. Now I gotta find the header on here. Which you can see right here. This one. It's set. Come on. I don't know if you can see it. It says CPU fan. So I'm gonna actually wrap this long cable around a few times and then just plug it in. It's a 4-pin header, so that kind of keeps that a little clean. Now, so we got our cooler on the CPU, and now we need to put the RAM in. So we're going to do that. This is a triple channel RAM configuration, which means that it can have up to 6 RAM sticks. So we're going to take these HyperX Furies that I had left over, and we're going to put them in the board. What we'll do is we're going to leave these 8 gigs on to get the system booted and everything, and then we'll take some of the other RAM that was already on the board and add and see if we can't add more RAM. So we're going to get everything out of our way for now. We're going to take our 8-pin power connector, which is this one, and I'm going to go ahead and plug that into the board. That way whenever I lay it in there, I can make sure everything's clean. So I'm going to take this side and just gently, without messing anything up, make sure everything's out of the way. And I'm just going to gently push this in. Take your time on this. You don't want to force anything. There, it just kind of slides itself in like it's supposed to be. Make sure you get all cables from underneath the board pulled out, if there's any that folded up underneath. You don't want anything to short out, or you don't want anything holding you back from having everything lined up correctly. And we'll just give it a little wiggle to make sure we line up over our standoffs, which we seem to be good. Awesome. Now, another thing that we do want to remember, I did have concerns about, was this cooler. Now, the Cooler Master V8 right here is sticking up a little bit over the ledge here. So that's got me worried a little bit. So I want to take the side panel and do a test fit to see if it's not going to allow me to have it on here. Yeah, so we've hit our first snag. That's a big snag. Because the way that this panel is with the side glass, it hits right here. So what I might have to do is cut the glass a little bit to accommodate for that to sit down on it. Alright, we'll figure that out when we get to that point, I suppose. Let's go ahead and screw the motherboard back into the posts. Put them in the way you took them out. Make sure all these wires are out of the way. I usually start with the middle one to help kind of line up everything else. And then you just go all the way around the board and put all 6 of them in. Or however many that you have. I got 6 right here. Oh snap. That wasn't good. Alright, so we got them all in there. I'm going to go ahead and hook the 24-pin power connector up on this side. And then there's our HD audio cable back in here, which just kind of sits across the bottom. These USB ones can just go in any of these little blue ones down in here. Let's see. Make sure that they go the right orientation. should have been possibly another one. I could have sworn I pulled more than that out. I'll figure it out. And we gotta do our front panel connectors. Oh, there's the other one. It's right here. Alright. Alright, so after you get the USBs hooked up, go ahead and do your front panel connectors. Refer to your manual if you need to, because every one of them is different. Just do the best you can. Make sure positive and negatives are like they're supposed to be. And yeah, you should be good to go after that. We've got the cooler attached. We've got the power supply hooked up. We got the 8-pin CPU power. We got the 24-pin power. We've got our USBs hooked up. Our HD audio for the front panel. We've got our front fan hooked up, and we've got all of the power reset, all that good front panel connector stuff hooked up. So this is where we start actually making more headway. I'm gonna go ahead and spray out that fan over there, get it attached in the back and hooked up, and then we can worry about the graphics card, and then we'll get our drives hooked up, and then we'll do a test post. Alright, so I got a SATA connection into 1 and 3 because it's a little bit easier than trying to get around this flap here. Number 3 went into this enterprise drive, which is his overflow drive. And then we're going to take this Western Digital blue and we're going to put that here hooked up, and this is what the operating system's going to hook into and run off of. So we get this. Being an SSD, we can kind of just tuck that back up in here. It doesn't need to be seen or flashy or anything like that. So that's all connected and put in. It's time now to go ahead and put the graphics card back in, which we're going to do. For now, we are going to go ahead and keep the 6870. I am going to try to find a better graphics card for him. He's prominently playing Fortnite and his games on the PlayStation 4 right now, but I do want to give him the opportunity and the option to be able to play games on his PC more. Now, this card will run Fortnite at lower settings. I've checked and looked. Technically, he probably could play just a little bit under what he's used to playing on the PlayStation anyway, but we are going to get him hooked up. I assure you of that. So we're going to go ahead and slot it in. We're going to make sure that it slots correctly right here and get it in tight, and then take one of the screws and put it back where it came out of. Alright, and then this little piece goes back over the top. I'm going to make sure that I line this up to where this hole. So there we go. We got that installed here, and then I'm going to take this fan around here and plug it in, and then we've got to plug in our 2 cables to the graphics card. So we're going to do that real quick, and there. So we should be prepared and ready to put an operating system on it now. So I'm going to get some stuff over here to where we can do this together. All right, so first boot attempt. Strange. All right, so alright, so here's where the troubleshooting starts. Alright, so we're gonna try this again. Okay, the keyboard lit up. Ooh, we have a post. Awesome. Amazing. So, it says, please enter setup to recover BIOS settings. Run setup. And it is detecting both hard drives. Alright, good. And we have 16 gigs of RAM with a Core i7-920. So, alright, the reason it didn't post before, as you can tell, I'm in different clothes. Basically, it got late last night. I got tired and I ended up going to sleep on it. The RAM that I was trying to use, for some reason, just wouldn't work. I tested some of them. I could get certain configurations to read some RAM. I could get other configurations to where it wouldn't read at all. So I have in the other shed, I had 32 gigs of RAM in that other computer. So what I did just for now, I can replace it later, is I just went and grabbed 16 gigs of rip jaws, G-Skill rip jaws out of there, and I put it on this board and it booted right up. So we upgraded you to 16 gigs of RAM, which is awesome. So basically what we're going to do now is, I believe my Windows 10 installation is on this thumbstick, which I'm going to put into here. And we're going to go to F10 to save whatever. And then I got to figure out what key button gets me into boot select. So I'm rapidly pressing F8 right now. Delete run setup, tab something. Here we go. Alright, so let's see here. Flash drive, USB flash drive. I think this is my Windows 10 installation. Yes. Alright, so we're going to load Windows 10 onto here, starting off onto his SSD, his Western Digital Blue SSD. And there's plenty of tutorials on the internet that shows how to do this process. So I'm going to cut it here for right now, and we'll come back once I get that process done. It doesn't clear this section here when I try to put the side panel on, and I'll show you what I mean. So the side panel is supposed to go like this and sit down a little bit further to slide over, but there's this little groove. There's this little groove right here. So what I'm going to have to do is take my Dremel and cut along this right here and make it flush to where I can get this on here with the cooler. Alright, so basically that's pretty thick right there. I'm gonna have to cut this down pretty far, like all the way down to here, which I'm hoping that's still hidden with this lip here when I'm done. Alright, so just on. Okay. So I've got my main cut out where the cooler would fit. So now what I'm going to do is try to clean this edge a little bit. Hey. So there's some little bit of marks here. I'll figure something out with that, but now it actually sits on there without putting too much pressure on the cooler. And where I cut this out, it should sit right underneath that to where I don't have any extra pressure there either. So we're going to put the glass back in and we're going to try it out. Alright, so I'm flipping the tabs back down now. And we got them all in. So this is our clearance now for the cooler. There's a small gap, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. You know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do and improvise, especially when you get something this cool, man. So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit more cleanup with the cables and everything, and we'll come back with the final product. Alright, so we got the computer up and running, Windows up. All I gotta do now is go through, do some updates and stuff for him, put the key code in, because we did get a legitimate Windows 10 key. I got the case modded so that the cooler fits. I got everything up and running. I got it cleaned out. So yeah, there you go. We've been working on Chris's computers, from the little rinky-dink ones we used to tinker around with, to him getting an i5 last year. Now we're up to an i7 with 16 gigs of RAM, which is actually better than what I had when I first started this channel. So it's up to him to produce good content, and you need to go find out by subscribing to Mears Beats, Mears TV, and you can go catch him playing Fortnite nowadays, which is awesome. Don't forget to hit him up if you need beats or anything for your YouTube channel. I'm out for now. Let's see what happens.